Lisa the Vegetarian is obviously a really important episode of The Simpsons because it marks a turning point for Lisa as a character. There are very few episodes of The Simpsons where something happens that is then carried across the episodes afterwards and where it actually becomes part of a prominent storyline. And in this episode, which is the 5th episode of the 7th season, aired in November 1995, directed by Mark Kirkland, Lisa becomes a vegetarian. And because I obviously grew up watching The Simpsons on Channel 4 or whatever channel it was on, I just always was aware that Lisa was a vegetarian. So watching the episodes in order now, it kind of took me by surprise that there was actually an episode where she became a vegetarian. And I can't, thinking back, see any examples of her eating meat, but I guess she must have done it at some point. But in this episode, she goes to a petting zoo, and for various reasons, she ends up deciding to become a vegetarian. And there's one strong influence that encourages that, and that's Paul and Linda McCartney. Paul McCartney and Linda McCartney voice themselves in this episode, and they appear as characters who help Lisa to come to this determination that she wants to become a vegetarian. And I don't know if this is true, but apparently Paul McCartney only agreed to do this on the condition that Lisa remained a vegetarian. So that's one of the reasons, apparently, why this narrative was then carried across and the character personality remained the same for every episode thereafter. Would they have reverted her back to being a meat eater after this? I'd like to think not, because it actually really fits her personality very, very well. She is obviously quite young, as an 8-year-old to make that decision to become a vegetarian, but Lisa is a very headstrong character who knows herself very well most of the time. There are some episodes where that's questioned, but she tends to know what she wants and what she believes in and what she thinks is right. So Lisa becoming a vegetarian it makes a lot of sense. And I think they've handled the subject matter very well. I think if they did it today, maybe it would have been done differently. But they don't do it in a way that's preaching. At no point did I feel like this episode was telling me to become a vegetarian, but I think it presented an argument for why one might become a vegetarian very effectively, so that if you are maybe thinking about it, this episode could push you in that direction. But obviously the rest of the family are meat eaters, Homer, Bart, big meat eaters, so they do provide the flip side of the coin. So it doesn't feel preachy. I think it would have worked it definitely would have worked even without Paul and Linda McCartney, but it was a nice addition. And the fact that they did this allegedly on the condition that Lisa maintained her vegetarianism, I thought was a really good decision. And I think it worked very well. It's not one of my personal favourite episodes from an entertainment perspective, but in terms of the value it adds to the show and what it's done for Lisa's character, I think it's a fabulous episode and it's really important. It's got 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a really great rating. Sure, there are some episodes that are 9 point something out of 10, but for The Simpsons, 8.5 out of 10 is still pretty great. Not my all-time favourite, but I still think Lisa the Vegetarian is a pretty great episode.